A bungee jump for your 50th? Will Smith is beyond a legend.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily podcast on fantasy basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball. Today we're doing another mock draft. This time it's a snake draft, head-to-head draft. Yesterday we had an episode all about punting. I'm going to try and put some of those tactics into place in today's mock draft where I'm picking at number 10. I might even go with an aggressive 4-cat punt. We'll see how that all works out. A 12-team league over on Fantrax. We're doing that mock draft today. As of the time of recording, Jimmy Butler has not been traded. As I mentioned a day or two ago, that it did appear like he was likely to be going to Miami. That still appears to be the case with talks of Teague maybe moving to Phoenix.
My name is Jeff.
And Goran Dragic, the Iron Shoulder, moving to Minnesota as well. So lots of moving pieces. But when that trade does go down, I will likely do a dedicated podcast to all the workings and machinations of that deal. But for today, we're talking mock drafts with a bunch of listeners to this podcast. Michael Bolton's ready.
Let's get to it.
Michael, thank you. But first of all, let me remind you that Locked On NFL is becoming everyone's favorite daily national NFL podcast. Monday, it's the local experts on the biggest stories of the week. And on Tuesday, we have former NFL quarterback Sage Rosenfels joining Matt Williamson. Wednesday, we've got Mike Renner of Pro Football Focus. And on Thursday, it's the great Mike Sando of ESPN. And then on Friday, Matt Williamson goes through and gives you his picks for the weekend. Make sure you're checking out Locked On NFL wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's get ready to kick off this draft now. Bring it up on the screen for you guys. One guy hasn't turned up. Oh no, he's just turned up. We have got a full house. Let's get this draft kicked off now with pick number 1. Now I am picking at pick number 10, as I've mentioned already. No news on that Jim Butler trade just yet. Again, if I will do a show if something like that does go down. So Michael Bolton, let's have you again.
Let's get to it.
All right, draft is off. Anthony Davis is off the board to the Harlem Buckets. No surprise there. The Punch Bob's up here at pick number 2. Again, I don't think this is too hard to work out which way this is going to go. It should be Jim Harden from the Punch Bobs. I'm probably going to be looking at Dame Lillard at my pick. That's who I hope. I don't want to have to take Russell Westbrook because I am worried about the knee injury a little bit. I will if I need to. They're the two guys I'm looking at pick 10. And I think I'm going to go and punt the 4 categories and just try and see how that can work. And that'll be blocks, turnovers, field goal percentage, and rebounds. The top 3 going as planned here. Davis, Harden, Karl-Anthony Towns, and then Nikola Jokic going at pick number 4. Now that is somewhat of a surprise.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
Giannis going at 5. So we're going to have we're going to be having some falling here from Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. Durant off the board to Jeff's big cock. I enjoy that name, Jeff. Clutch has left the draft for some reason. He was here a second ago, so he's back. He got LeBron. Magic. This round is flying. So Magic up on the board here as well. LeBron. Now Steph Curry at 8. So I'm gonna have a fairly good. Am I gonna get Kawhi here at pick 10? That's gonna change my strategy completely. If Kawhi Leonard falls, Jay Smooth on the or Jay Smooth. Sorry, the less smooth version of Jay Smooth is on the board here at 9. So I'm gonna get either one of Lillard or Kawhi, and I'm pretty happy about how that's working out for me so far in this number 10 spot. Come on, I think it's Jed who's owning Jay Smooth. Which way are you going? Maybe he takes Westbrook and I get the choice between both Kawhi and Lillard. And if I get Kawhi, I'm probably not going to go for a 4-cat punt. I'll go with a different type of deal. And that's why when I talked about on that punting show yesterday, don't go in with, I'm going to punt these categories because you never know what's going to happen. I want to base it on what happens with my first pick, to a lesser extent my second pick, but mainly what happens on my first pick. And I still get these questions, Josh, what's your favorite category to punt? What's your favorite combination to punt? Well, it's just, I can do anything. I can punt whatever I want, whatever combination I want, depending on what happens in this first round. And Jed going to let himself go onto auto despite that green dot being there. And he takes Kawhi, so that is going to leave me with Damian Lillard with that selection. So that's what I'm going to take. Now, Fantrax has got their rankings. Westbrook at 8, Oladipo at 11, Lillard at 12. Normally, I would take Westbrook there at number 10. I just am a little bit concerned about the knee injury, and I do have them close enough in the projections that I'll take the guy that I feel a bit more confident with to begin the season, and that is Damian Lillard. So let's go with Lillard there, and let's lean into this 4-category punt. It might not work out fantastically for me, but I want to just go through and show a way for it to pan out, or a way that you can get one of these builds happening. So I'm happy with that start, getting myself Lillard there to begin. So that means I still need to fill out the power forward spot. I still need to fill out the center spot, but you can find some of those guys later in drafts to fill out those areas. So I don't know which way I'm going to go with my next pick, which is coming up the third pick, which is pick 15 there. Maybe it is Jim Butler that falls to me there. Maybe it's Paulie George. Maybe it's Johnny Wall that I grab in that area as well. A few guys that I can be looking at in that zone. So quite an interesting build this is going to be from my team as I look to grab some value with some of these selections. So Westbrook off the board at pick number 11. That's a common sense one. And this next one's a curious one. Do you go Paul George? Do you take Joel Embiid? Do you take Victor Oladipo? They're probably the 3 guys that I would consider that all fake Aminus are taking. I don't know if that's the same bloke that was in the last draft. I don't think it is. I think he's just used that same team name. He's taken Embiid to round out the first round. So apart from Jokic going at 4, I think it's a pretty stock standard first round of a head-to-head draft. I like Embiid at that 12-13 spot. Getting centers is pretty tough to do, and if you don't get one there, you are in a bit of trouble. So I think that he should almost be going in that area every time. Orfei Kamunus has gone back-to-back with Sixers, taking Benny Simmons at pick 13. So Trev Boss is in a good spot here. He's got the ability with Oladipo or Paul George around for him. Jim Butler as well. Quite a bit of value available for both him and me in these next couple of picks. So I'm going to be able to get myself Paulie George, Jim Butler, Vic Oladipo in that zone as well. So some interesting options. I'm hoping that I can get Paulie George here. He is the guy that I do really want in this spot. I'd be happy with Jim Butler as well in this area. They'd be the 2, or even Oladipo. As much as I do think there is going to be some regression with Vic for this upcoming season, I'd still be okay with getting him there. I guess the uncertainty with Butler does leave me a little bit concerned. I don't know where he's going. I think it's Miami, but I just don't know at this point. Trev Boss takes Oladipo, takes that decision out of my hand, so that's an easy one for me. Let's go with Paul George. That's a Lillard, Paul George start for me. Obviously, just really leaning into this punt field goal percentage build, trying to get my points, threes, assists, steals, and free throw percentage up. And I'm off to a really strong start with both of those guys, so I'm happy with that. Jay Smoove going with the Donovan Mitchell. Now, that is early to me with Don going that early at pick 16. I think he's good. I think he's excellent, obviously, but that's a big, big leap with other proven guys on the board. Johnny Wall, Drew Holiday, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love even on the board. Kemba Walker off next as well. Another pick that seems marginally high, pick number 18 or 17 there for Kemba. Also, Kevin Love from Clutch off the board next. So apart from the Don Mitchell pick and the Kemba Walker pick going a little bit too early, I believe, most of this is pretty spot on. The fact that John Wall and Jim Butler are still around is a little bit interesting. I think they're going to get some value, so Jeff and his big cock can grab this one next, and there's some value there for him. This is not Everett, Jesus, either. Jesus, shout out to you. Any of those guys are going to get some pretty good value with some of these selections coming in here as well. Cookies and Cream says he's aggressive on Love. I think that's pretty fine for Love, to be honest. Getting the big man, not a shot blocker, but a rebounder who's going to see a pretty significant leap in his value. I've got no issue with Kevin Love there. I think it's pretty spot on in that zone. Not going to really fit exactly what I do, but I wouldn't be necessarily against grabbing Kevin Love. He wouldn't fit my punt, so to speak. But as I said yesterday, I'll get his scoring, I'll get his free throws, I'll get his threes. They're all helpful, and maybe that keeps me marginally competitive in rebounds. I don't want to be bad at rebounds. I don't want to be bad at these categories. I just don't care what happens to them. Kyrie Irving from Jeff's big cock. I would definitely have taken Butler ahead of Kyrie in this area. No problem with saying that. Jeff, you timed out, mate. My bad. Well, bad luck. You have Kyrie now. This is not Everett. It's not a bad pick. It's far from it. I know, again, I've talked about this plenty of times. I think Kyrie's health is fine. I'm not overly concerned about that as we move forward. He does have some injury concerns clearly, but I'm okay with Kyrie for this season. Not worried about his injury heading into the year. This is not Everett. He has drafted Jim Butler. I think that's really, really good value to get Jim there at pick 20, I believe that is. Strong selection there. Pick 20 for Jim Butler. I think he's got a top 12 upside if he goes to a good situation. If he goes to a poor situation, maybe he is the 18th best player. I really do like that for Jim. Jesus grabbing Drew Holiday at pick 21. I don't think you can be too disappointed about that one either. I do worry a little bit about what happens to Drew this season if his field goal percentage does regress. I think that's somewhat of a concern, that if that doesn't look as good as what it did last season, that he could fall off. Johnny Wall goes to Cookies and Kareem, and we're 2 spots away from rounding out that second round. But looking good so far with the way things are going. Not too many big surprises there. Now, I did talk about this in the punting show yesterday, when I don't want to be looking at just purely punt value when drafting these early spots, because I do still need to fill out these positions. But because I'm punting all big man numbers, I can actually go and turn that punt on in the draft tracker. And based on how that punt looks, Lillard actually in that punt is the 2nd overall ranked player, and Paul George is the 4th overall ranked player. So that's where you can get some value in a punt build. Now, you wouldn't go in and go, I'm punting 4 categories and I've got the number 2 overall pick, therefore I'm taking Damian Lillard. That's not how you should be approaching it. But going in and looking at it at the end, look, you're trying to accumulate value, and that's what I think is happening here at the moment. Andre Drummond goes there at pick 23. I do think regression is coming for Drummond in the assist category. He is going to be taking threes from all reports. I don't know how many, but it looks like it's going to be a non-insignificant amount. So that's something which could have an impact on his field goal percentage. Devin Booker and Chris Middleton off the board to round out round 2 and start round 3 from the Harlem Buckets. Love Booker there, and that's really strong on Chris Middleton. When you're on the turn like Harlem Buckets, if you want Middleton and you want his production, you're not going to get him next time. So go ahead and grab him in that area. So let's go ahead over on Basketball Monster, update my draft tracker, have a look how things look. I'm sitting okay there at the moment, projected 5th in the standings. Now, I'm never going to be the number 1 ranked player at the end of the standings, because the 4 category punt means you're just so limited in terms of your overall win percentage, but all you want to do is get into the playoffs and be able to beat every team in the playoffs. So that's the idea of this 4 category punt, and making those 5 categories as strong as possible where teams aren't going to be able to beat you, and having insulation against injuries, against rests, against game volume deficits. That's important to me. I might take this time though to read another little ad, and that is the one about Locked On NBA. It never went away. We've been here all off season with Locked On NBA, and it is still here for you every day. Locked On NBA is your daily national NBA podcast. Every Monday, with me hosting it, you get the local experts on the biggest stories, and then you can stay with Locked On NBA all week long. Daily 30 minutes podcast on everything going on in the NBA. Follow for free at Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or go and tell your smart speaker to play the podcast Locked On NBA. All right, picks that have gone off the board since I read that. Eric Bledsoe there at the start of round 3. Very, very, very strong pick for Bledsoe there. We've talked about him a lot, that he is undervalued on many sites with their rankings, ESPN and Yahoo in particular. At this point, there's no actual... I'm not trying to shit on these sites. There's no reason for you to be playing your fantasy league on Yahoo or ESPN. There's just so many restrictions, and nothing actually makes sense to be getting him, or to be playing on those... to be playing on those sites, to be perfectly honest. I also missed a couple of picks there, sorry. The start of round 3, Chris Middleton, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul. Good value on both Paul and Lowry there. Eric Bledsoe, then Rudy Gobert goes next, and Draymond Green with Jeff's big cock again. I don't think I've ever drafted Draymond, really. It's so hard to deal with his lack of points. Maybe Jeff is punting points, which is obviously a possibility, but that is a concern with Draymond. He helps in all those other areas, but it is somewhat of an issue when drafting him, and that's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily love drafting him personally. someone asking if I'm going to leave this draft up, or this league up all season to accumulate stats, I can, but there'll be no transactions. Obviously, we can see how that works out. Clutch drafting DeMar DeRozan. I think that round 3 at this sort of spot for DeMar, I've talked a bit about how I think he's overranked in certain areas. I don't think this is a terrible spot for him. Going at which pick are we talking about now? He went at pick number 31. Aldridge went at 32. I still think that's a little bit high for DeMar DeRozan, but if you are really looking to boost your free throw percentage and scoring, he can help there. I do think that's expecting him to improve significantly on what he did last season, and I'm just not sure he's going to be able to do that personally. Now, I'm 2 picks away from what I'm looking at here. I'd love to get a Bradley Beal with this selection. That's the guy that I am looking for in this area. So I'll throw him down onto a queue, which is on the video. You can see he's sitting behind my head. Jay Smoove has made some picks which haven't necessarily gone to according to plan, so maybe he lets Beal slide. I can only hope that he lets Beal slide here. Come on, Jed. He's going to time out and he's going to get Beal, and it's going to piss me off. Come on, Jed. Pick someone else. Yeah, he picked Beal. That's awesome, isn't it? That is lovely. Okay, so who am I going to pick now in this area? Do I look at someone like Gaz Harris? Is it too early for Gaza at pick number 34? It probably is. Is it too early for the blue arrow, Jamal Murray? Maybe it is there as well. I've got 30 seconds to make my decision here. I need to get some assists up. Assists are going to be hard to find at some point. Lou Williams gets a bump, but I can probably get him a little bit later. Jeff Teague looks like he isn't going to be traded to Phoenix at this point. I'm going to take the blue arrow, and let's take a flyer on him there at that spot. Again, not the greatest pick for me, but I really did want Beal there. But I think that Murray can take a step forward. I do worry about what the Dr. Michael Malone's going to do, whether he's going to dick him around this season. But happy to take. I don't think I've got the blue arrow in any draft so far this season. So I'm a couple of picks away now. I've got 5 more until it's up to me. That was me getting him at pick 34. I think that's, again, it's probably a little bit high. He does obviously gain value in this sort of a build. I've got Mike Conley on the board as well. I'm gonna look at Conley and throw him into my queue because I am big on getting Mick. I'll throw Lou Williams in there as well. They're probably my 2 next guys. But again, I've got to make sure I've got power forward, and center. I do need to grab those guys. Marc Gasol off the board at pick number 35 there to Trev Boss. Klay Thompson off the board at 36. I think that's high for Klay. I'm pretty down on him. Lack of steals, rebounds, assists, blocks. Good defender, doesn't get the stats. And if usage gets hit at all, he is in trouble. And then Al Horford starts off round 4 to the all-fake Aminus. So let's look how my team is looking. I'm getting a lot of those bright greens on the draft track and a lot of the bright reds, which is what I'm looking at in a 4-cat punt. Trev Boss on the board here. So I probably will be looking at someone like Mike Conley in this zone, or do I look at Jeff Teague? They're probably the 2 guys I want to look at, get another center. There's no real forward player. Actually, that's not true because Gaz Harris is a forward, so maybe I'll get Gaz and get him to fill out the forward spot. He has got forward eligibility. That would work out nicely for me. I do value Conley there, but getting Gaz Harris, who's up the top of my list, it's 2 Denver guys. That doesn't bother me all that much. They've got a favorable playoff schedule. I think he is the other guy I'd want to fill that forward spot is the artist formerly known as Torian Prince, but I'm not going to grab him just yet. He'd be a guy for next round. Enes Kanter off the board. Jesus, that's early. Pick 38 for Kanter from Trev Boss. I'm on the board. I'm going to take Gaz here. I'm going to slot him in as a forward, fill that forward spot off, and let's go with Gaza.
Nice, Gary!
Hopefully it's nice. I'm happy with how that team is shaping. And just again, for reference, in this punt build that I'm looking at, Lillard ranked 2nd, George ranked 4th, Harris ranked 29th, Murray ranked 32nd. So we're 40 picks in. I'm okay with getting those guys. But again, looking at those positions, I needed myself another forward eligible player. I've only got that power forward and center to fill out. That's going to be a little bit tougher to do. If I'm looking down my list of guys, Blake Griffin could have been someone I went for, and he will definitely be someone that I'm looking at with my next pick if he gets around to fill one of those spots. He fits in okay with what I need to do. The Rooster Danilo Gallinari is another power forward eligible player. Otto Porter's another guy we can look at there. Griffin would be a key. I probably should have gone with Griffin there instead of Gaz, just to fill that centre spot. He would really work that nice high assist, hitting threes now, low field goal percentage. The free throw percentage is fine. Jay Smooth kills me by grabbing Blake there. Probably should have gone and grabbed Blake there in hindsight, but I think I can recover from this okay. And Gaz getting that forward eligibility is pretty key for me as well. Maybe someone like Bob Cove could be someone that I look at as a power forward eligible player, so I'll throw him into the list as well. He would fit nicely on my team, get those steal numbers up there as well. But I still am going to need some assists, so I need to get my assist numbers up. So let's go back and talk about what's happened here. Blake Griffin off the board. Clint Capella goes at 41. Miles Turner off at 43. I know that we're talking about, then the term gets thrown around. He's a post-hype sleeper, meaning he was hyped up last season, disappointed, but now people are sleeping on him. I just look at Turner, and I thought he'd take a big step forward in usage last season, and he didn't. And I look at this season, I go, will he take that big step forward in usage? Well, I have to say no, because it's the same team, plus they added Tyreek Evans. So is he going to get less usage this season? I think him getting less usage this season as opposed to last season is a definite possibility. Domantas Sabonis outplayed him at times last year. I still believe Turner's the better player and he's the better fantasy option. But expecting him to get back to being a top 30 guy is it's tough to see the path to that. I thought he'd get that usage up to 24-25% and he didn't. The rebounding wasn't there and the minutes were muted. So look, he could get it. I'm not convinced on it. Jeff's big cock went and grabbed CJ McCollum in that area. A lot of talk of Dame Lillard playing off the ball. We're also going to see McCollum not being a backup point guard this season, which is going to hurt his fantasy value. I think we're going to see his assist numbers dip this season, and that is going to maybe push CJ outside the top 50. I believe he was outside the top 50 last season anyway, from memory. But it's not going to be great if his assist numbers drop with Wade Baldwin, Seth Curry handling the ball as well, and CJ not doing very much of that. That's a real negative, I think, for his value for this season. Yeah, I have dipped his field goal or his assist numbers for this season. This is not Everett grabbed the Baptist John Collins at number 44, and then Toby Harris comes in at pick 45. You're really, really strong on Toby. That's super value for Tobias Harris in. At that spot. Love that from Jesus. Really strong number to get Toby there. He would have been a solid fit on my team as well. Not someone who's excelling in the big man stats necessarily, but happy to fit in that power forward position. The next guy, look, Mike Conley's really staring me in the face, coming out per game as the 15th best player in the way that I'm looking at this build. But again, do I want to lock down this power forward center spot with Bob Cove, or do I want to really get that value and hone in on those assists and steal numbers? It's going to be a decision when I get to it, and I'm not exactly sure which direction I'm going to go at this point. But they're probably the two. I'd move Covington ahead of Williams in that queue there just to see how that works. Otto Porter off the board at 46 to Cookies and Kareem as well, probably around the right spot for Otto. The Punch Bob's up on the clock now as well. See which direction they're going. Yeah, Vucevic on the board. I think he'd be solid in this area. Joshy Richardson is an interesting one. There goes Covington, so that takes that decision out of my hands. Richardson's an interesting one. I am buying that they are going to be looking to use him more offensively, but if Butler comes across, that is a real concern with him. Now, if Dragic leaves, I think we're going to have Butler and Richardson doing a lot of ball handling as well as Dwayne Wade. Or if Richardson goes back to Minnesota, will his minutes go up? Almost definitely, because Tom Thibodeau, and that could really help him there as well. So some interesting situations for Richo. I think he's fine around this 50 mark, as is Gordy Hayward, who you can see there in the queue as well. And surprisingly, DeAndre Ayton is still on the board, even though we're up to pick 48. I think this is a solid spot to get him. Taurean Prince. Now, Taurean Prince would be a good fit for me, but he's small forward, and I've filled those two spots with George and Gaz. So not sure he's going to be the best option for me. I wouldn't necessarily pass him up if he came. So I'll throw him into that queue just to see exactly how it goes. There's Richardson off the board there at 48 as well. So Harlem Buckets with a strong selection of Joshy Richardson, hoping for some of that upside, which we do think that he can get to. Really happy with how my team is looking at this point, but I do really need to get some assists on the board. And there goes Mike Conley, Harlem Buckets. You are killing me. not ideal for me then. Jeff Teague, an option here for me. D'Angelo Russell, Chrissy Dunn. These are some guys that I could be looking at to help get those assist numbers up. So let's throw Jeffy Teague into the mix.
My name is Jeff.
Where is Dunn? He's down at 66 there on Fantrax, which is a little bit too low for me. Trey Young, probably not going to be looking his direction. Maybe a look at the ravishing one. Larry Markkinen off the board at 50. I think that's too high for Markkinen personally. Will he get enough usage to take a big enough step forward? I know everyone is definitely creaming their pants over on the Bull subreddit about, oh man, he's got muscles now. That's cool, but let's look at what else he can do. Can he block shots now? Can he get steals? Can he get passes? Probably not. Will he get enough usage with Parker added into the Levine Dunn bullshit from last season to actually allow him to have a high enough usage to be that guy that takes that step forward? And I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about that at this point. Cookies and Cream with a very, very strong pick. He's got one of the best teams here at the moment, Cookies and Cream, getting Gordo Hayward. He's projecting out pretty well in terms of the standings. Actually, the number one projected team at the moment in my standings, and the only team that my team is projected to lose to after 4 picks. But of course, things can change quite a bit as the draft goes on. So he is the guy that I need to pay attention to. I need to get some assists back to try and to get him back in that area. That's the only category he's got the advantage on me at this point, and that's why I do need to make sure I'm getting assists, and that's why the draft tracker can be so useful. Where are my deficiencies? Who am I competing against? Where do I need to get some numbers in here? What numbers are coming off the board? What categories are coming off the board? And aside from points, the most scarce category at the moment is assists. So that's why I do want to have a look at the Chrissy Dunn or Jeff Teague in this situation, even though I do need that power forward. I probably do want to grab one of those guys there to get myself six plus assists, which would be a real big help. As Gordon off the board at pick number 52, is he a 37% three-point shooter that he was, or is he a sub 30% three-point shooter that he was at the end of the season? Given that for 3.5 seasons he's been sub 30%, and for 2 months he's been 37%, I'll go with a shit three-point shooter, but improvement can always come. Jeff's, oh man, this is not Everett. You're killing me. Chrissy Dunn off the board from him. Nick Vucevic off the board from Jeff's big cock as well. This is putting Jeff Teague very firmly into my radar for this next pick. Love the Vucevic pick. Love the Chris Dunn pick there as well. I am 4 selections away from my next pick, but did not like that Dunn went off the board. Lou Williams still an option. I do worry a little bit what they're going to do with him, but I do want to get Jeff Teague. Trey Young is a guy I'm going to be massively into with this team as well, but I'm not grabbing him just yet. He's way off the board, but he is going into my queue. Luka Doncic off at 55. Now that's high. That is. Now I love Doncic. I think he's going to be excellent, and I think he's got a top 50 chance. But is he more than a 20% chance of being a top 50 guy? That's why I'm a little bit dubious of that pick. The artist formerly known as Torian Prince goes one after Doncic, and I would take Torian there. I think his minutes are locked in. Not that Doncic's aren't, but I think his production is pretty solid here. Good old formerly. 2 picks away, Jed is up here at pick number 57, and then I'm up at 58. Teague, I think, is definitely going to be my guy at this selection. The other guy I could consider is D'Angelo Russell to get some assists. Julius Randle off the board from this bloke. What's his name? Jay Smooth. All right, let's take Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Bang. All right, now that helps to get my assist numbers up. That's what I needed. I still need to concentrate on this forward number or the power forward position. The Rooster is going to be someone that I do want to grab. So let's go add Gallinari. Shout out to whoever the bloke was who tweeted me. Or 2 people tweeted me some interesting things yesterday. One was a restaurant called Fat Face. Shout out to you, Ray Felton. Another one was a clothes shop called Gallo with a symbol of a rooster on it. So shout out to you who tweeted me that as well. Bad luck to you all, fake Aminus. DeAndre Ayton, that's really strong from you, Trev Boss. Getting Ayton there at pick 59. I think he's going to be a top 50 player. I grabbed him at 40 in some drafts. I'm really good with getting him there. That's some pretty solid value. Yeah, Lou Williams is a value play here as well. Jason Tatum, this is coming into his area. Jarrett Allen, this is definitely his area. D'Angelo Russell as well. All fake Aminu's going with Steven Adams. I'm not here for Steven Adams in that spot. Doesn't block shots. I think his efficiency dips this season. The free throw percentage is a real pain in the ass now. Is all fake Aminu's punting free throws? Let's have a look. Yeah, that had Ben Simmons, so they probably are. So I guess that there is some value in it. So maybe I take it back that it wasn't a great pick. It's still not one that I'm massively into, but it's good enough. Still think there are other guys on the board that I would have taken there in that spot. So happy with how my team's looking. I'm still not good enough to beat Cookies and Kareem, which is a concern. I need those assist numbers higher. My punt strategy is working out pretty nicely at this point, but I do still need to get some assists. I'm not strong enough in that category. My Z score for points, threes, steals, and free throws are all above 5. Assists, I'm only above 3. So I do need to work on getting some assists. So if I can get another point guard, whether that's D'Angelo Russell or Trae Young, who are guys I'm going to be looking at. Saric is going to be a player who I can get as a center eligible player. He might be someone I look at coming up as a center eligible player on this team. Do I get Jason Tatum as a power forward eligible guy? I need to fill these positions. It's pretty clear. Farton Will Barton off there at pick number 62, and then it's me. Oh, I'm up. I didn't realize I was up. Pick number 63. What am I doing with this selection? I need assists. Do I go and grab D'Angelo Russell here? Do I get Lou Williams, who's still hanging around? Lou, get those points up, get those assists up. Is it good enough? Do I get D'Angelo? Yeah, I'm gonna take Lou. I'm not happy about that. Probably should have taken D'Angelo personally. Don't know why they put Lou on my bench there. Let's move him into the flex spot. I'm okay getting Lou Williams at pick 63. I think there's value there. It could have been D'Angelo, could have been Timmy Hardaway, could have been Budrick Hield in that area as well. I do need these big man positions filled up. Tatum was another option for me there, but I wanted to get some of those assist numbers in there. Saric is probably going to be the guy that I look to get to fill that center spot with my next pick, unless I can somehow get Tatum around, which I don't think I will. We're up to pick 64 now. Jed is back on the clock. I think he'll take Tatum here. I think you have to he goes with DeAndre Jordan. So that's interesting. Let's have a look at Jay Smoob's team. He's got Don Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard, Brad Beal, Blake Griffin, and then Randall and Jordan. It's an interesting mix of a team. You've gone from a non-punt free throw team to a punt free throw team with Randall and Jordan. So I'm not certain about that, but we'll see how it all works out at the end. Jason Tatum, Jarrett Allen off to Magikarp at 65. Jason Tatum off to Clutch at 66. Yeah, so some interesting enough picks there from those guys. Nothing terribly bad with it. It's about getting some value with the picks. Now, at the moment, in terms of projected standings, I'm coming out on top at the moment. Cookies and Kareem, Magikarp, Jeff's Big Cock, then Harlem Buckets, Punch, and then the Punch Wobs. That's how the top 6 is looking at the moment in projected win percentage. I've got most of those guys covered, or all of them apart from Cookies and Kareem, where that assist number, I really do need to start working to get those numbers up. Jingle and Joe Ingles off the board at 67. D'Angelo Russell at 68. Love that pick from you. This is not Everett. That is strong. I think I want to be getting power forward and Trae Young with my next 2 picks. That is going to be my aim, if that is going to be possible. The Rooster is another power forward option for me. If I can get the Rooster and Saric as my power forward center combo, I think they work really well in this build. Of course, we do worry about what Gallinari is going to be able to do in terms of staying healthy, but I think it's worth the risk where I can get him, which is going to be relatively late, I would guess. For reference now, we are 69 picks in.
Giggity!
And my team, ranked based on this punt build, the worst ranked player I've got is actually Jamal Murray as the 32nd ranked player. Everyone else is inside that top 30. So that's where the value arises. But again, because Murray was the 32nd ranked player, didn't mean that I didn't take him, because I had to get him at that spot to get value. And then I knew I could find value in other spots with Lou, with Teague, and with Gaz Harris. And that's worked out okay for me. We'll see how it all pans out at the end. Kyle Anderson off the board at number pick 69.
Giggity!
Number pick 60. That was really, really poor English. You'd think that I don't speak professionally. The Punch Bobs off at... Nick Mirotic off to Cookies and Cream there. Well, the Punch Bobs coming in now at pick number 71, and then Harlem Buckets, and that will round out round 6 for us. Don't forget tomorrow's episode, me and Greg Ehrenberg are going to be looking at over-unders. We've made our picks. I've made graphics for them already, and now this Jim Butler Miami rumors coming up. So there might be a change to how our graphics look, and by the time the pod is released, we might actually have news, because we are, spoiler alert, recording it straight after I record this podcast and then releasing it the day after. Lonzo Ball off the board to 71. Now I want to address this situation. We'll let some of these other picks go. the report from Lonzo Ball. Now, there was a quote from Luke Walton. If the season started tomorrow, Rajon Rondo would be our starter because Ball hasn't played and he hasn't got up to speed, and that makes sense. Then apparently Dave McMenamin spoke to Luke Walton on the side, and what Walton said that, starting the season, Rondo's going to be our starter. Now, that is nonsense to me. It's ludicrous that they would consider that, because let's go this. One guy is 30 plus years of age, Rajon Rondo. One guy is 21, the number 2 overall draft pick. And just so happens that the number 2 overall draft pick was actually better than the 30-year-old aging point guard last season. So why you wouldn't want to give Ball these opportunities to develop when he's already better than the other guy outside of injury. Now, even if Rondo does start the season, Ball will play more minutes this season and he will be the starter as soon as he is ready to go. So I'm not looking at this of Rondo's won a starting job. He's going to be the starter. He's fine to take with the last pick to see what goes on, but I am not overly concerned with Lonzo. In fact, in a dynasty league, I am throwing as many low ball offers at Lonzo as I can now. I said that yesterday, and someone said someone tried to trade me Lonzo Ball for Ben Simmons, which is obviously the opposite of a low ball. Don't know what that bloke was thinking, but I'd be going as low as I can on Lonzo to try and get him. He's a better player than Rondo. He should be starting. The knee injury is a concern. We would no doubt that's a worry with how Lonzo's knee is looking. But drafting him here, which is at pick 70 odd, I think it's a fine. It is risky, but it's fine to do there from the punch bob. So after Lonzo, we had Budrick here would go to the Harlem Buckets along with Johnny Isaac. I'm massive into John Isaac, you know that. The defensive numbers are key. If he gets 30 minutes a night, he will be a top 75 guy. I'm pretty confident about that. And then Dwighty Howard goes to the punch bobs at pick number 74. So, how many picks away am I? I'm 8 picks away from my selection. I probably do want Šarić with this spot, and then I'll get Trae Young in the next round. That's my aim anyway. We'll see if that actually works out. I get the feeling one of these bastards is going to take Trae Young. There goes Jonas Valanciunas to Cookies and Kareem at pick 75. That is super value. He's a top 50 type upside player. So I think that's a pretty strong pick there for him. Dennis Smith Jr. off to Jesus. If Smith's, it's all about efficiency. Can his free throws rise? Can his field goal percentage rise, which was pretty good catch and shoot last season? The minutes will be fine. I'm pretty interested in him. He does have top 50 potential to me. It's absolutely okay in this area. There are probably other guys that I would want, but I think that Smith is fine in this zone, and I don't really worry about him being able to play alongside Luka Doncic. I think they'll work very, very well together. Pick 77 is not Everett. Let's see which direction he decides to go here. We've got at the top of the Fantrax draft board, Hassan Whiteside, Šarić, Nurkic, Paulie Millsap. There goes Nurkic. I'm hoping that in the next 5 picks I can get Šarić to fall to me. Now, I don't love Šarić this season. He was outside the top 100 last season, but I do need to get myself a center who is going to fit. And in terms of looking at my board, he's probably the best one who's available. If I'm looking down and down and down and down, maybe it's Kelly Olynyk I can get later on. Maybe he fits in. Maybe it's Brookie Lopez as a guy, and maybe I could go and get one of those players. But I feel pretty good if I can get Šarić here, that I can find, and now I can't because Jeff's just screwed me. So maybe I will recalibrate now. Maybe I will go and look at these centers and get someone else a little bit later. Maybe it is me going and getting Kelly Olynyk to fill that center spot. Maybe it is me going and getting Brook Lopez to fill that center spot. That's what I need to do. Now, this has changed my opinion up here with what I need to do. Still need to get this power forward center. The Iron Shoulder drafted by Clutch. A guy who's going to be an interesting late round pick here is Tyus Jones. I think the Suns want him and he should be starting somewhere in the NBA. I've been saying this for 3 years, that whenever he's a starter, he's going to be a good fantasy player. He's already a good player as well. It just pisses me off that Thibodeau doesn't value that or doesn't see that. Nick Batum off to Magikarp. He's off at pick 81. Jay Smooth off or ready to go here before it is my pick now. Is this too early for me to grab Trae Young? Maybe, but I think I'm going to do it. If he is available, I will take that flyer on Trae, and I think I'll be pretty happy with how it pans out for me. Assuming that's what I do. But I could take Paulie Millsap in this area. He would fill my center need. Do I look at here? Andy Wiggins off the board. Wasn't expecting that. Now, can I take Young, or can I wait 5 picks for him to come back to me? And do I take Millsap here to fill my center spot, or do I use it on Brook Lopez or Kelly Olynyk later on. I think I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to take Millsap. I'm going to throw him as my center. And hope I can get Trae Young in the next pick. Cookies and Kareem says, Josh, as you're recording this, can you please not say how shit my team is? Cookies and Kareem, you got the best team at the moment, so calm down, mate. I think you're looking pretty good. Cookies and Kareem, so my mum can listen. Well, the way you've written mum there, mister, I assume you are from Australia. So tell me where you're from when you listen to this later on. Actually, I'll type it in. Where are you from, Cookies? I'll go say hello to your mum in person. Oh, yeah, shit, I didn't even realise that. I'm took another Nuggets player. I got Harris, Millsap, and Murray, but I've got no problem with taking those guys. Sydney, guessed it. Knew you were from Australia, from that correct spelling of the word mum. Why did the word mum get changed in America to M-O-M? I don't get that. You guys spoke English and then decided to change a random letter. I don't understand. Trev Boss taking DeJounte Murray. That's really good value for DeJounte at pick number 83. I'd really be happy with that pick if I was you, Trev Boss. Your team has been, I think it's looking pretty strong. It's sort of in the middle of the projected standings at the moment. Cookies and Cream on top, followed by me, and then the Punch Bobs after that, and Magic Cup next. Now my assists are starting to look better. Still not quite where I want them to be, and they're the weakest of my 5 strong categories, but they're pushing up. Jabari Parker off there to the all fake Aminus. 3 picks to go. Trae Young is really going to help me here if I can get him. This is really what I want here, and I want the rooster for that power forward spot a little bit later. Tyreek Evans still around, Timmy Hardaway still around, some value in both those guys. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. off the board to kick off round 8 at pick 85. I love Jackson, love what he's going to be able to do. I do worry a little bit about Memphis dicking him over, but I think it's okay getting him there. The other positive news with rookie big men is Wendell Carter Jr. and Fred Hoiberg saying there's going to be an open competition for all starting jobs. So that's into the starting center in particular. If he starts from day one as a top 100 guy, probably top 80 type of guy. So that'll be pretty interesting. Let's see. Trev Boss, are you going to screw me? Please no. The clutch says Jackson's going to be a starter. I think he is too. I think he's going to be a defensive player of the year. I think he's going to be a top 25 fantasy guy at some point in the future. Tyreek Evans off the board to Trev Boss. That gives me Trae Young. Let's go with that. That's what I wanted, so I'm happy with how that works out. Now, Millsap comes into me in my build as the 125th ranked player, and that you might have said, Josh, why did you pick him so high? I just needed a center, someone who can contribute, and I believe that's what he can do. All of my other guys are top 32 players based on this build, and that's giving me a very, very bright green look at my team. There's shit tons of turnovers with this squad, but I'm happy with how it's all looking. I think the old Harlem Buckets are trying to punt the same categories as me. Their rebounds are poor. Their field goal percentage is poor as well, although I do get them in assists. So they're an interesting battle for me. They're the only team who's really posing me a threat at the moment based on the projected standings. Looks like I've got the other two covered, but the Harlem Buckets are one that's getting me. The future MVP off the board to Jay Smooth. I don't see the value in that, Jetty. So apologise for shitting on your team. While Brookie Lopez goes to Magic Cup at pick 89. That's a very, very strong pick, I think. I just worry about Kuzma. No rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, or low. Not a great free throw shooter. Does the usage drop? Where's he fitting in alongside LeBron?
LeBron James.
Jeff's Big Cock says Whiteside's plummeting. Yeah, he is. I think at some point, this is absolutely fine. I think someone should be taking Whiteside here. Absolutely. Now, the pencil Harrison Barnes is next in the queue as well. So, I think I'd be taking Whiteside, not me personally, but I think Whiteside should be someone to look up. Cookies and Kareem says, does anyone else ever start to panic when their deck in the queue was piled up and then gets to say 2 and you're 5 picks away? Yeah, I know you hear me react to it as I do it on the podcast. I've only got one guy in my queue at the moment, and that is, of course, the Rooster, Danilo Gallinari. Jeff's Big Cock is firing up. I think Timmy Hardaway is a good value pick here. Wendell Carter and Zach LaVine should absolutely be options for people too. And LaVine is pretty. Both Hardaway and LaVine are pretty high on my queue, so I'm going to throw them in to my list as well. There goes Whiteside off to Jeff's Big Cock. This is not Everett. I'm still a fair few picks away from my one, so we'll see what ends up playing out. Need a power forward and a flex to fill out my squad. I don't know why I put Fournier in my queue. I didn't mean to, but I'll keep him there. Interesting to see where Porzingis and Boog go in this draft. We'll see how that ends up. Alfred Payton, strong from you. This is not Everett. Bogdanovic off to Jesus now. I'd like that. I am a little bit worried about this knee injury. I do think it's going to cost him some time. 4 to 6 weeks is what the Kings said about 3 days ago. So that is the start of the season. So I'm a little bit concerned about Bogdan. Knee injuries like that at the start of the year, it is a bit worrying. So I probably wouldn't have taken Bogdan there given what we know now. If it had have been a week ago, I would have been fine with taking Bogdanovic in this spot. Cookies and Kareem, I hope you take a shit pick here so it enables me to jump ahead of you in the projected standings. I don't think you will because you've been pretty spot on with what you've been doing so far. I also need Harlan Buckets to come in and start shitting the bed as well. He's got some picks coming up here as well. Harlan Buckets, he had Anthony Davis. No wonder his team's good. And if anyone asks where I want to pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, 9, 10, 11, 12. I want the ends. I don't want the middle range. I want 10, 11, 12, or 1, 2, 3. They're the zones that I want. Pick 1 and 2 as my preferred options, and then 10, 11, 12, 3 is probably the next order I go with there. Cookies and Cream going with Eric Gordon. The word or the potential rumor is Eric Gordon is going to start, although Jim Ennis was running with the starters today. I don't see Gordon as a pick in that zone. He gets value when Chris Paul and James Harden are hurt. I'm just not sure he's going to be putting up that same sort of value this season. So I think that's probably a little bit early for Gordo. Pick 94, or maybe not. Pick 94 is not a terrible spot for him to go. But I'm just not as big on him when everyone is healthy on that Houston team, which at the time of me recording this, they currently are. Timmy Hardaway off to the Punch Bobs. That's a good pick. Obviously, he was in my queue, and Levine should be going pretty soon here. Why are people asking this question? Now, draft etiquette. I don't think you should ever be talking about players who haven't been drafted. So, apologies to you, Cookies and Cream. You're saying, who do we think are the best players still out there? I don't think that people should be throwing that out there. I don't think you should be saying that. Like, I'm going to say Derrick Rose. I don't think I don't think you should be talking about guys who haven't been drafted. That's just. It's not a full rule, but I think it's a standard draft etiquette. And apologies to you, Mr. Kareem. I just don't think you should be asking that question. Harlan Buckets takes Evan Fournier. That's pretty strong from you. And I think if he goes Levine here, that's going to make his team very, very strong. And it's probably going to make him a little bit hard to beat from my perspective. But we'll see how it goes. I've still got a chance. Still can build up some options here. Let's see exactly what he does with his next selection. It's getting close to the Rooster time for me, I believe. Oh, he took De'Aaron Fox. I think that's pretty strong as well. I like that pick from you, Buckets. Yes. So my team over in the projected standings now after 8 rounds has dropped down to 5th. I'm okay with that still because I'm still projected to be a winning team against pretty much everybody apart from the Mr. Buckets, where we're going to have a close battle in the points category. There's still some work to do as well. The Punch Bob's up again, and I'm still like 9 picks away from my selection. Levine is the guy I want. If he's available, I'm taking Levine 100% if I can get him there. I don't think I will, but maybe it is the Rooster that I take. Try and fill out that power forward spot. I wish they gave Mario Hezonja power forward eligibility. He would be an option for me, but he's not there yet. The Pencil Harrison Barnes can fit in there for me also. Chetty Osman and Kevin Knox are 2 other power forward options that I've got also. Magic Cup asking, when is this airing? It is airing today. Kelly Olynyk off for Cookies and Cream. He was a guy that I was considering for that late centre pick. Lucky I didn't rely upon that because he's gone before pick 100. Unfortunately. I think we're doing. Someone's asking how many rounds. I think we're doing 14 rounds in this draft. From memory. I think Fantrax has a standard that it is 14 rounds. I'll double check that. Someone's asking, so I better double check. Let's have a look. No, 13. Sorry, my apologies. It is a 13. I adjusted it because Fantrax standard is 14 rounds, but I must have adjusted it back to 13, which is the standard on most sites. So who has gone off the board now in my little? There we go. The table: Montrez Harrell, Ronda Hollis Jefferson also off the board that I missed. Olynyk, Harrell, Wendell Carter, and then the pencil Harrison Barnes off the board. So some strong picks there, like Carter. Barnes is really good in this area. Harrell fits certain builds. Can't believe Levine is still around though. Personally, I've got 4 picks to go. I think I'd have to take Levine there and then get the Rooster back in round 10. It seems weird that he's lasting as long as he has. I don't think he's going to get through these next picks from Clutch, J Smooth, and Magic Up. Well, Clutch took Reggie Jackson, so Magic Up, J Smooth, and Josh. Is the dream going to become a reality? I used that. There we go. Magic Up just really pissing in my ear with that one. So yeah, not happening for me to get Levine. So is it the Rooster that I take here? Do I look to get him? Is it Rudy Gay who's a power forward option? Maybe it's Gay. Or do I? Maybe it is Gay. Maybe a little bit more security with what he can do. Isaiah Thomas off the board to Jed. Let's now Gay or the Rooster. Let's gay it up. There it is, Rudy. All right. All right. So now I've got my big man spots finished, which can be a concern in this sort of a build. I'm happy with that. Now I might get another one of these guys later. It might be the Fort Kevin Knox. I might get a small forward eligible player like the Chief El Farouk Aminu. Maybe it's the Blue Swimmer Alan Crabb. Maybe it's Geordie Bell. One of these guys. But it's good to get that value pick there. I still want some assists. So I do want to get someone like a Pat Beverly, a Jez Lynn, a Karis LeVert. One of those guys I think is going to be still valuable for me because I do still need to get those assist numbers up. Trev Boss off the board. I've got 5 picks until it is my selection. So I don't know which way I'm really 100% leaning here. Still want some assists. Which way are we going? All right, so Gay fills out my power forward spot. The Rooster's still there. Maybe I should have taken the Rooster. I think it's the injury concern that worries me there. Markel Fultz off the board at 107. Hazonia at 108. Dennis Schroeder at 109 as well. I could still take the Rooster here and use him as an option. It really does boost some of my scoring and my free throws, but I'd like to go with a guard. So I think I'm going to be looking at Patrick Beverly. Could use Malik Monk in this position as well. The Blue Swimmer, Alan Crabb, is also an option, but I think I'm going to take Jeremy. Also gives me a little bit of a handcuff with Trae Young. Not that I'm big on handcuffs because I'm drafting Lynn in his own right for his value, but it does, if Lynn does win this starting job somehow, it gives me a solid option. Spencer Dinwiddie is a player here. Obviously, he's a player. Trey Burke, another point guard we could be considering. Maybe it's Berkey that I take a swing at. I think I might go Burke. I'm reversing course. Trev Boss letting the timer run out again. Come on, mate. Let's make a pick. Jakob Poeltl. I am going to take Trey Burke. Got to have as many Treys as you can. So let's take Trey Burke off the board. It's pick 111. I don't know if he's going to start. I know he's going to play. And I think he can do... I've only got him projected at like 25 minutes, I think, per game at the moment. He could go much higher than that. And I think there's still value in getting him in this area. Lynn's still an option for me that I'd be looking at grabbing with my next pick if he remains available. Happy with how my team is looking at this point, though. It's looking pretty decent. In fact, it's looking pretty good, but I don't want to play that drop again. Jed, which direction are you going? All right, so I've got 3 bench spots now that I'm looking at. Who's picking here? Jay Smooth. So at the moment, Harlem Buckets, Cookies and Cream, Jeff's Big Cock, Magic Cup, and me are the top 5 projected teams at this point. With Jesus, Punch Bobs, Trev Boss. This is not Everett. All Fake Aminu's, Clutch, and J Smooth is the current projected standings order. Mallow off the board. Do not like this at all. Now, I think Mallow can be value. I just don't think that is a value pick by getting him there. Jed's making some decisions that obviously I disagree with based on my projections, and that's why he's coming out last in the projected standings. But I could be wrong with some of these, and he could have a great team. I just don't really buy it all that much. Trev Boss not happy. He says he's disgusted with his team, Trev Boss. Let's look at Trev Boss's team. Westbrook, Oladipo, DeJounte, Farton, Will Barton, Marcus Sol, Pirtle, DeAndre Ayton, Tyreek, Enes Kanter, and Markel Fultz. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that team. His team is solid-ish enough, not strong rebounds, strong assists, strong steals, and probably lacks in the other areas, which leads to some problems. Derek Favors off the board there as well now at 114. I just see very limited upside with Big Derek. Jeremy Lin's the guy that I want with my next pick. That is the direction I want to go. The Rooster. Actually, do I go Rooster and then Lin? Maybe they're my next two picks. Well, they're two guys I'm looking at. Obviously, the injury concern is there, but the upside's pretty big on both of those blokes. Both could be top 60 in this type of build, which would really, really help to strengthen what I'm doing, assuming they play. Daz Collison off the board to Jeff's big cock, Larry Nance Jr. I think that's great value for Nance at 116. He's got top 70 upside, I believe, for this season, depending on how Ty Lue wants to screw things up. Nance could come in and play decent minutes and be useful. Jesus takes the Rooster. That's unfortunate for you, Jesus, because that's who I wanted. Not unfortunate for you, it's unfortunate for me, actually, more than anything. And now we're at in round 10. We're in the hundreds here, almost pick 120, 118. Actually, we are. Don't know why I didn't just say that name to begin with. Talking about this, where did Dunny Roll go? Who's Dunny Roll? I'm very interested to know who that is. Cookies and cream, please let me know. Oh, there we go, Chris Dunn. That would make sense. Doing these mock draft podcasts, this is my fourth mock draft, and showing my girlfriend the shows, and she's going, "Look, what is this?" She goes, "Do people actually watch this?" And yeah, people want to watch me with a screen shared and make these picks. She goes, "And it's not even a real draft; it's a mock draft." Okay, yeah. She goes, I don't understand your job in the slightest. I don't understand why people are looking at this, but people do. You guys love these mock drafts. I love doing them as well. But to put this in perspective, she goes on YouTube and watches videos of people unpacking their groceries for a grocery haul. So I guess we each have our own things that we enjoy. Trevor Ariza off the board at pick number 118. Pretty strong value for Ariza. I've got him pegged as a top 60 type of guy in my build, so that's pretty strong for Ariza. We know he's going to get minutes. Now, it could fall off at any point with Phoenix, depending on how shit they are, but it's going to be, I think he's got some pretty decent value. KCP off to the Punch Bobs, and then the Harlem Buckets are going to round it out with pick a number 120 to round out round 10. Let's go, Harlem. Which direction are you going with? I think that this is where we should be looking at Boog and Porzingis off the board. Jaylen Brown off with Harlem Buckets to round out round 10. I think that's fine from Jaylen Brown. He and Andrew Wiggins are the two guys who came into drafts and I went, their fantasy game looks shit from their college projections. And basically it's been proven, right, that they just don't do enough in those other areas despite their scoring and how spectacular they can look at times. It hasn't really translated into great fantasy type numbers. So it is going to be interesting to see if he can make any improvements to his efficiency as we move forward. Harlem Buckets looking to make pick number 121 now. Let's see exactly how that goes. Where are we looking at? Which way did he go? Come on, mate. What's the Will Cauley-Stein from the Harlem Buckets? I'm happy for him to get that because anytime he gets a big man number, it does drop down some of his other stats, and that helps me be more competitive against him. So we'll see exactly how this pans out. Look, I'm super green in terms of my build. Z scores of over 4.8 in every category that I'm punting, and then that I'm not punting, and then negative 5.5 or worse in the ones that I am punting. So I'm going very aggressive in terms of bad and good. Filled out the positions I need to. It is working as a 4-cap punt. Whether it's successful or not remains to be seen. Again, that Harlem Buckets team still looks like they're going to be able to beat mine, which is the concern. But every other team I look like I should have covered in a one-on-one matchup and have them covered in relatively comfortably. Hopefully, that's the idea anyway. But points and steals from Harlem Buckets, he's beating me in that area. The Blue Swimmer off the board to the Punch Bobs at pick 122. Really like that. He was excellent down the stretch last season, banged in over 3 threes per game and upped his defensive numbers. Now, I have concerns that the defensive numbers won't stick from Crabbe, and I do think that Karis LeVert and Jumpin' Joe Harris should be cutting into his minutes. I think Karis LeVert's better than him. Harris, I'm not so sure, but I think you could get away with having a LeVert-Harris combination and no Crabbe in the rotation, and you probably don't lose anything, and you might get better. But I do think that Levert is significantly better. Let's look Cookies and Kareem on the board here. Which way is he going to move at pick 123? No one's taken Bagley. Oh, there he is. Speaking of Karis LeVert, off the board. So much hype about him and John Isaac coming from Media Day. And Jesus, can you piss off? He just grabbed Jeremy. That if you want to take that quote out of context, I'm sure that'll get me in trouble. Jeremy Lin off the board there. That was the one that I did want there with my next selection. So kudos for you, Jesus, for making that pick. Other guys who I'm looking at on my board now, I do want to get some steals. I want to get some threes. So which direction am I looking at to get steals? Is it Patrick Beverley? I'd say yes, it is. There goes Spencer Dinwiddie off the board. There goes Kristaps Porzingis. It's looking like, I think Boogie's going to be back on the court before Porzingis. He's apparently ahead of schedule. I think that we might see him maybe in January. I don't think we see big minutes from Boog, but it looks like he's going to be back on the court a little bit earlier than we may have expected. I'm going to take Paddy Beverley and put him into my queue. Cookies and Cream, insert the sound cue for KP. You got it. Beverly's the guy that I'm going to be looking at for my next selection here. Is it Fred VanVleet? He's another guy that I could take a squiz at. Marcus Smart, he helps me a bit. Oh yeah, Smarty. Now Smart is a guy that does enjoy some value in this sort of a build as well. Joshy Jackson off the board there for clutch. 2 picks away from me. Magikarp up at 127. Malik Monk is another guy that, his lack of steals is probably why I'll steer away from him in this zone of the draft, because I do want to get some steal numbers back up along with some assists. JJ Redick for Magikarp, I think that's tremendous value from you. And Jay Smooth, let's see what direction you're going. I think he's going to take Bagley here. This is my guess for Jay Smooth. I love making guesses on people's picks. Come on, Jay, let's go. Jetty. He's going for Bagley, surely. Come on. Just reply, yes, Jeremy Lin is Chinese Taiwanese. I think that is correct. Jay Smooth. Do I take Beverly or Smart? That is the question. Which way do I want to go here? I'm going to take Pat Bev. TJ Warren off the board. Oh, he surprised me. Let's go with... Which one of these guys is ranked higher on here? I'm going to take Bev, and let's go with Smart on the way back. Paddy Beverley, off the board to me, helps my threes, helps my steals. Maybe he gets traded to Phoenix. Maybe he's the starting point guard in LA. I think he's solid enough, especially at this spot. There is upside in what he can do. The scoring from him is clearly not great. Another guy on the board for me should be Freddie VanVleet. Malik Monk might help me in my scoring as well, which is something that I do need to pay some attention to. Boog off the board there for Trev Boss. A lot of talk here about Korean fried chicken, which does absolutely rock. I love the Korean fried chicken with the green onions on top. That's my Korean fried chicken of choice, just in case you were interested. The All Fake Aminus takes the fort. Kevin Knox, really like that one as well. Cookies and Cream in Melbourne. Supernormal has an entree. It is that, Supernormal. It's not. What did I have? I had the tasting menu at Supernormal. I don't remember having the fried chicken. I like going to Sam for Korean fried chicken. That's pretty good. And of course, All Fake Aminus takes El Farouk Aminu.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
Had to do that. It absolutely had to be done. That rounds out round 11 for us in this mock. Trev Boss is up. Let's see if he gets another auto pick. And then it put me on the board, and I will be looking at, I think Marcus Smart will be the guy that I'm squizzing at in this spot here. That should really strengthen me up. And just to be aware, remember I was having that issue with Harlem Buckets and how I was going to compete against him. Well, his value dropped down considerably after his last couple of picks based on my projections. Thad Young off the board to Trev Boss. Do I take Marcus Smart here to really get some of these steal numbers looking strong? Do I take Malik Monk for some points and threes? Jez Lamb, Rocket Rodney Hood. Points is probably the most important category here for me. Will Hood survive to me? That is the big question. Put Monk in my queue there. Where is Hood on this list? Georgie Hill, another option. Jeremy Lamb. Let's see, Rocket. And you could have small forward eligibility, Rocket as well. 169th. Let's try and get him last. Let's take Rocket. I'm debating. Let's take Rocket. No, I'm not convinced. Yeah, Rocket. Oh, man, that was annoying. Sorry for annoying you guys with all of that. And let's hope we can get one of these other guys with my last pick coming up. Yeah, not happy with that. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Lukey Kennard, another option coming up. George Hill, Marcus Smart, Fred VanVleet, Jeremy Lamb, Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore still on the board. These are all guys who are coming into this zone as being worthwhile picks. I'm going to throw Baze into my queue. Will anyone take Bagley here? Come on, Jay Smooth. You let me down last time. I wanted you to take Bagley. Are you going to do it again? Let's see. Just to make me look like I know what I'm talking about. Will you take Bagley? James Johnson still on the board, injured at the moment, same as Dwayne Dedman, the Undertaker. Yeah, a bit worried about both of those guys, to be honest, at this point. Just went on the Hoopball podcast and spoke with Dan Besbris, and I spoke about Dwayne Dedman, how I picked him in the mock draft they did over there, and I'm not overly happy with that pick. Brogdon off the board, Jim Johnson off the board. Jim Johnson still dealing with this hernia injury, which bothered him last season. So a little bit of a concern. Of course, Miami in these trade talks is obviously a big concern as well as to how that all works out. Anything interesting happen yet? I'm just looking if Woj has said anything. Nope. Not that I can see. Domantas Sabonis off the board there to Clutch. Jordy Bell off the board to Jeff's big cock. Is it Jeff that's got all the big centers? Let's have a look. What else are we looking at here? Got Malik Monk is an interesting option for me if that comes up. This is not Everett on the board here. Pick 100. We're at the end of a draft here, obviously taking some flyer type guys. Rajon Rondo from This Is Not Everett. I talked about that a little bit earlier. I think that's absolutely perfect to take a flyer on in case Luke Walton is out of his mind or he's leading LeBron. Let's be honest, LeBron James, not the best judge of talent. He can be the best player in the world and probably the best player ever at this point, but he's not the best judge of talent. He thought Shabazz Napier was the best player in that draft. Like, he has some questionable talent decisions, and if he's influencing the Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo playing, then he's wrong. We'll see how that works out, but he's wrong. And but it's worth taking a flyer on it because we don't know how much sway that LeBron is going to have over Luke Walton in that scenario in terms of choosing that point guard, but it would just be nonsense. Anyway, Jez Lamb off to Jesus. Strong pick from you, Jesus. Cookies and Kareem up now to... You get towards the end of round 12 here at pick number 142. Will anyone take Bagley? Now, we're in this zone here, 142, Taj Gibson's on the board. I talk about it all the time. I just don't see any upside in Taj. Chetty Osman should absolutely be going off the board. I'm throwing him into my queue. He is definitely someone you should be looking at here. And I'll be, if he doesn't go, he's got to go in the next 3 picks. You have to go with Chetty Osman. Now, I know I took Rocket Rodney Hood. And I probably could have taken Chetty and probably should have taken Chetty, but he should be going here. Avery Bradley's still around as well. Frankie Ntilikina, I think, is a good upside play. Freddie VanVleet on the board too. I've only got 1 pick left, so I don't want to get too aggressive with it. Who's on? Cookies and Kareem really letting that timer wind down like I did with Rocket before. Not happy with that Hood pick at all. It's not sitting well. It's making me cough. It's not sitting well with me at all. Tyus Jones, that is strong from you, Cookies and Cream. I know that your timer expired, but if he does move to Phoenix, that is just value just pouring out of your asshole. That is a ton of value there for you if that does work out for Tyus, and it's absolutely worth a flyer. And everyone should be looking at Tyus Jones as a late round pick, 12th or 13th round. Do it. Kent Bazemore at 143 to the Punch Bobs. And then we've got Harlem Buckets on the clock here to round out round 12. Which direction is he going to go? Mo Bamba on the board. Cookies and Kareem having internet problems like me, but he should be bloody happy with that pick anyway. At least he had a queue set up, and that's a strong pick to get that bloke. Tyus Jones. The Harlem Buckets. Which way are you going? I want to see how this updates with our draft tracker and projected standings. Aussie internet sounds like AIDS. Yeah, sounds about right. It's not good. I'll give it that much. Chetty, there he is. Yep, that's a smart pick from you, Harlan Buckets, and you're a strong team, and that's a strong pick from you. So at the moment, projected standings: Jeff's Big Cock, Cookies and Kareem. This is not Everett, Magic Cup, me, Harlan Buckets, Trev Boss Jesus, Punch Bobs, J Smooth, Clutch, and then the all fake Aminus rounding out the bottom. Hang on, that's not real. Cookies and Cream said, did anyone see that KD says the haters keep him from awards and they don't see my real skill? That bloke is so insecure. It's actually pretty funny at this point. Frankie Ntilikina. I've got no problem with Durant moving to the Warriors. Had never had an issue with it, but he just is such a little whiny dick. He just needs to get. Oh my god. Bam Adebayo, Frank Ntilikina off there. Bam Adebayo, Jordy Clarkson, Bill Hernan Gomez. Really like that one as well from Jesus. From Bill Hernan Gomez, we know he can put up some pretty big numbers when he's given the opportunity, and it looks like he might have that opportunity to come in and play 24 a night, which would be awesome for his value. So that's a strong option to grab there. I'm not going to get another power forward, and I'm probably not going to get another center here. If one of those guys goes, and maybe it does hamstring, not maybe, it definitely does hamstring me in daily rotations, but I think with how strong my team is looking in those other categories, I don't think I need to do it, but maybe I'll take Jay Crowder. Let's see. Maybe I take Jay Crowder to give me a little bit more power forward flexibility there. He's got some okay-ish type upside. Maybe it's the Jedi, OG Anunoby.
Hello there.
Is it Stan Johnson's only small forward eligible? Maybe I am. Probably do need a little bit of extra flexibility here just for this last pick. Although getting Marcus Smart is pretty nice. I think I might just take him, and then we'll deal with it on the waiver wire as the season begins and see which one of these guys doesn't work. Whether it's Burke, whether it's Hood, whether it's Beverly. We'll see how this all pans out. Avery Bradley, Terry. I missed a few picks there as I was talking shit. Marvin Bagley, Terry Rozier, and Avery Bradley with the 3 picks after Bill Hernan Gomez. Colin Sexton, the young bull, off the board here with pick number 152. We have got 4 picks to go in this draft. Jay Smooth, Josh Lloyd, Trev Boss, and all fake Aminus to wrap things up. I am going to be taking Marcus Smart with this pick. If not Malik Monk, they're my 2 guys that I'm getting with this next pick, depending on which one it is. Depends on which direction Smooth goes in. And again, remember, we're going to be looking at using the waiver wire. Someone should grab Mitchell Robinson here. One of you other blokes, just go grab Mitch Robinson. I think he's going to be in the rotation from night 1 at this point and can be an impact guy. And I reckon he's legit got a top 100 chance this season. It's a low chance, but it is a good chance. Trev Boss, don't panic, mate. This is not a good feeling picking right after Josh. There are plenty of options. I'm not going to take your only guy that's an option here. And I think you're going to grab Mitchell Robinson. Bojan Bogdanovic off the board to Jay Smooth. I'm going to take Marcus Smart. And let's see who you wanted, Trev Boss. Did I take him? I'm going to be highly doubtful of that. And that is going to just about wrap up this draft with 2 picks left from Trev Boss and the all fake Aminus. Trev Boss, let's have it. Who did you want that you were so scared of me taking? Thanks for everyone for showing up for this draft as well. No show, so glad everyone was able to make it for this mock, and I hope you got something out. There it is, Mitchell Robinson. I knew it. Finally I got 1 pick right. That's really good from you, Trev Boss. Really strong pick, and then all fake Aminus to wrap us up with the last pick in the draft. He is going to take. Don't take Taj Gibson. Sviatoslav Mikhailuk. Wow, now that is a deep one, but apparently he's looking really good. But can you find the minutes? Josh Hart, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Lonzo Ball, Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson. Where is he getting the minutes? That, I guess, is the concern. But that will wrap it up for the draft. For today's show on the draft. Let's take that off the screen. Now I'm just going to go through and just do a refresh on the Basketball Monster draft tracker. Go through what my team looks like. Damian Lillard, Paul George, Lou Williams, Jeff Teague, Gaz Harris,
Nice, Gary!
Trae Young, the Blue Arrow, Patrick Beverly, Marcus Smart, Rocket Rodney Hood, Trey Burke, Rudy Gay, and Paulie Millsap. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 guys in the top 35. I had 9 guys in the top 80 there. Happy with how it worked out in the triple punt. My points ended up being a little bit weak at the end. I ended up projected, this is how the projected order goes. Jeff's Big Cock, Jesus, Trev Boss, This Is Not Everett, then me. Harlem Buckets, Magic Cup, Cookies and Kareem, Punch Bobs, Jay Smooth, Clutch, and All Fake Aminus. I looked like I will beat, based on the projections, every team 5-4 except for the Harlem Buckets and Jay Smooth for it. So Jay Smooth, I criticised some of your picks, but if we match up based on the projections, you'd probably beat me. Everyone else, I should be able to get a comfortable 5-4 win over, but it's going to take some manoeuvring through the waiver wire and all that sort of stuff. Harlem Buckets would be battling for the points and steals category, and that could go either way there. But yeah, happy with how that worked out. That's me trying to execute a 4-cat punt in a head-to-head league. I hope you got some information out of this one and hope it was useful. Subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify. Give me a 5-star review. It's one of the best ways that you can show your support and show that you appreciate the stuff that I am putting out, and hopefully it's informative and entertaining. Go on YouTube, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the button, click the notification bell. You know it all. Basketball Monster, Locked On Podcast Network. There's tons of stuff. Follow me on Twitter at redrock_bball, on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. And guess what, guys? We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Richaun Holmes